Well, there is no doubt that the N97 is definitely a device to be reckoned with in regards to certain kinds of multimedia functions, such as a built-in music player, a video player, an FM transmitter, a digital compass, built-in GPS, Bluetooth, and a brand new touch interface. And we can never forget the 32 gigabyte storage space that is inside this thing. The dimensions of it are not too bulky. I have been able to keep it in my pocket throughout every single day without any trouble whatsoever. And it is amazing if multimedia content storage is what you are all about in regards to using your smartphone. But that is not to say that the N97 does not have its own quirks every now and then. Whenever the device happened to be in locked mode and I tried to unlock it with the lock switch, the backlight still would remain off, and I ended up finding myself having to activate the lock switch more than once. As you can see, I've already hit the lock switch one time and the backlight should have come on, but it didn't. And you can see that it's unlocked because all of the widgets are visible on the home screen. Being able to remove your battery is always a good thing in case you happen to have a freezing malfunction or if you happen to have a spare battery. The back battery door was very easy to come off. You only have these clips that are holding the battery door in place onto the back of the device. It gives the impression that the battery door can easily pop off in the case of the N97 falling and hitting a hard surface. It is practically impossible to find any sort of area that can be used to pry the battery out. So the only way for me to solve that problem was to get a paper clip, untwist it, and basically pry the battery out of the back of the device. Now, if you are looking for the same kind of touch experience gained from the iPhone, you will be sadly mistaken if you happen to go with the N97. With any kind of new device and with any kind of new technology, you have to allow for some leniency in some stability issues. There have been a few times where the phone has froze on me. There have been a few times where the touch response wasn't really accurate. Another concern that I do have for this device is that the tactile feedback of the QWERTY keypad still does not measure up to the E71 or the Titan 2, or there is hardly any feedback on this particular keyboard, and it basically feels like you're typing on a hard surface almost. The spacebar being located offset to the right, there really was no trouble in getting used to that, and actually it felt a bit more natural because I happened to have my right thumb in the right spot to be able to input a space in the midst of typing a message or an email. The amount of RAM on the N97 can have an effect on multitasking in the most efficient way. In regards to browsing the web and listening to music at the same time, and also having Facebook open in the background along with Gravity in the background and Nokia messaging, there were times when applications would be randomly shut down due to a lack of enough memory. Even though Quick Office is pre-installed on the N97, it is only a version that is able to view documents, and that's basically it. You cannot edit documents whatsoever on the current version of Quick Office. Now, I do understand completely that I happen to be in the minority when it comes to using smartphones for word processing, but that's just me. I love to write blog entries on my phone. If I happen to have an Office suite with which I can edit Word documents, it fares very well for me at the end of the day. At one point, I did think that the N97 was able to bridge the gap between the N series and the E series to a certain extent. As a Nokia user, I can't help but be let down by the quality of the QWERTY keypad for prolonged typing, as well as the performance of the OS with the onboard RAM. I have learned that I am more of an E-series person and not an N-series person. If an efficient QWERTY keypad is what you need in a smartphone, I would not suggest the N97 at all. And if you're looking for a phone with great graphics for gaming, I would have to once again say that the N97 is not the phone for you. I was personally not too impressed with the quality of the Hero of Sparta game that I purchased through the Ovi store. in comparison to the one that I had purchased on my iPod Touch. Now, with all of that being said, the N97 still remains a great device in regards to listening to music via the stereo speakers or the 3.5mm headset jack, as well as looking at movies through the wide screen. The N97 is also good if you want to look at it as some sort of internet tablet or an internet gateway of some sort to stay in touch with online applications such as Facebook, AccuWeather, Gravity, or what have you. If you happen to buy the N97, you need to make sure to purchase a car charger. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And at the end of the day, you have no choice but to charge the device every night. There's no way around it. Battery life for me has never gone past one whole day with my regular usage on the phone. Now, if you're looking for a Nokia device that basically has all of the great features of multimedia that comes from the N95, then the N97 is definitely the device for you. On the other hand, if you happen to be more of an E-series person who focuses on the quality of the QWERTY keypad as well as certain messaging features, you may want to not go with the N97. The N97 I thought was going to be my answer to having an E90 with N-series qualities, but it just hasn't worked out that way. The N97 simply does not meet my needs in regards to needing a tactile QWERTY keypad that's efficient, as well as having an onboard office suite for editing Word documents. Using the N97 has opened me up to the sliding QWERTY form factor once again, with a touch operating system. My rating for the N97 would have to be 4 out of 5 stars.
Please hang up and try again.
A few interesting things have taken place that have caused me to question my allegiance to Nokia as a brand for my smartphones in the near future. Software update number 1 basically involved putting on a newer version of the phone's firmware. Now, I had no problem downloading the new firmware to the phone through the Nokia software updater on a PC. The problem, which involved the lock switch and the backlight, was finally solved. I could hit the lock switch one time and have the backlight come on as it was supposed to. Using the phone still presented the same kinds of problems in regards to occasional freezing and occasional sluggish performance when navigating the interface. I still thought that it was best to remain loyal to the N97. Right now, in regards to the N-series line and the E-series line, this is a one-of-a-kind device. This is a trial version of the Prince of Persia on the N-Gage system on my N97. Not really impressive at all, but it's a good attempt on Nokia to be able to include this gaming feature on the phone. Now, the sound from the gameplay is very good, but the overall resolution is not impressive at all in comparison to what I've seen from the iPod Touch. Controls are very intuitive, very easy to understand, not hard at all. Hey guys, this is Trent. The last thing I would ever want to do is to put out any sort of misconceptions with any device. What made me unreasonable was that I didn't keep in mind that the N97 was not marketed to be an E-series replacement. It was marketed to be a multimedia smartphone. I did mention some complaints in a previous version that may have been the fault of my network not working properly. My complaints of the QWERTY keypad and the availability of an open editing suite for Quick Office, it doesn't apply at all to the N97 because that's not what it was marketed for. It's not what it was made for. Nokia didn't make the N97 to replace the E-series devices, and I do understand that. But with all of that being said, the N97 still remains to be a very good multimedia smartphone if that's what you happen to be looking for. Being an E-series user, I do feel that the product line has become stagnant. The only thing to look forward to as an E-series user is the E72. And if you take away a number of different features, the E72 is nothing more than a dressed up E71. So after using the N97 and wanting a little bit more than what the E-series line could offer me, I basically had no choice but to consider moving from the Symbian operating system onto something totally different in order to get what I wanted. As a smartphone user, it is my responsibility to move out, leave Nokia, and find something that can meet my needs in regards to finding that blend of N-series elements and E-series elements. That's all there is to it. That's the God honest truth. I will continue to keep you guys updated as to what I decide to do, and hope you continue to stay tuned. All of you guys take care and stay safe.